Good morning and welcome to the Haven Financial Group radio show. I'm Larry Colvig, founder and CEO of the Haven Financial Group. Feel free to give us a call at 612-504-8400 or havenfinancialgroup.com. Check out all the educational classes, upcoming events, all kinds of retirement tools. Kim, good to be with you. We're going to dive deep into taxes, and why not have the expert Lance Larson, our CPA at Haven Financial Group, who loves to talk about taxes. How about that?
Lance, I know there's other things besides taxes that you like to talk about. Unfortunately, we don't get to talk with you about those here on the show all that frequently. So, but we're certainly glad that you're here with us today.
Thanks for having me, Kim.
You bet. We work really hard in our life to save. But one of the most important things when you get to retirement is that you want to keep that and not give it to, as Larry likes to say, your favorite uncle, or maybe not your favorite uncle, that being Uncle Sam, right? So let's talk about some different strategies and just sort of take a deep dive when it comes to taxes and retirement. We're going to start with the taxation of your Social Security. Then we'll talk about understanding tax treatment of your 401k and your IRAs. How's your home sale taxed? That's an important one for a lot of retirees who want to get out from under maybe their big home and downsize to a condo. And then finally, tax strategies come with opportunities, but they also come with risks, and we'll talk about both. So let's get started talking about the taxation of Social Security. I think a lot of people, Lance, may not be aware of the fact that a portion of your Social Security can, in fact, be taxed.
It can. So one of the discussions that I have with people is that when they talk about their Social Security benefit, they just think it's the money that they've paid in. Mm-hmm. And they don't realize that as they were working and their employer was taking their 6.2% out, that the employer was also taking 6.2% and matching the amount that they had to pay in. And so when you get your benefit, it is actually a portion of your benefit or your money that was paid in that has already been taxed. And then there's the employer portion that has not been taxed. And then there's also this growth factor because their wages have gone up and the benefit that they are receiving is more than what has been paid in. And so when Congress looks at it and says that there's two portions of this that has not been taxed and one portion that has been taxed, that's where the government is coming up with a very fun formula to figure out how much of your benefit is taxable.
And so can you kind of walk through that for us?
Yeah. So the formula where it is that you take half of your benefit plus all your other taxable income, and then you add that together, and there's what they call provisional income. And then with that provisional income, you put it on provisional income brackets, which are different than the tax brackets. And then based upon how much of that provisional income falls in each different bracket, that's how they figure out how much of your Social Security is taxable. Now, if that confused you, Kim, here's the layman's way of understanding it. If you have no other income besides Social Security, then none of that Social Security benefit is taxable. If you have some other income besides the Social Security, then some of the benefit will be taxable. And if you have a lot of other income besides Social Security, then a lot of that benefit is taxable.
So let me ask you, if, let's say, my husband continues to work and I decide that I am not going to, and I'm going to begin to draw my Social Security benefits, but we file jointly as a married couple, is his income playing against my Social Security?
Unfortunately, it is. And because when you look at a married filing jointly, we're going to look at both or all income sources for the both of you together. Mm-hmm. And so that's where we have to look at half of your benefit plus your husband's income to figure out what your provisional income is. And so this is where, when taking the Social Security and looking at the tax implications, it needs to be an us decision rather than a me decision, because what your spouse does will affect what happens to your Social Security benefit as far as taxes go.
Yeah, and can have a pretty major effect on it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so are there any ways to minimize that?
Unfortunately, there's not. I mean,
Mhm.
that formula that Congress has set is pretty much set in
Mhm.
stone. They've had that same formula for a long time now. And so the only way that we really can play around with that is trying to determine how much other taxable income that you have. So in your case, if you wanted to take your Social Security benefit and your husband's still working, well, that's the decision. But if you guys could talk together and say, you know what, it might make more sense for you to delay taking your Social Security benefit until your husband is not working, or be when he decides he's going to take his Social Security benefit. Then the two of you take it together, and then you might have actually none of it being taxable because you don't have any of that other taxable income in your household.
Sure, absolutely. All right. Well, there's a lesson in the taxation of Social Security. Is there anything else that retirees need to know when it comes to their Social Security and tax?
The other big thing, so we've just been talking about at the federal level.
Hmm.
You also want to be cognizant of what happens at the state level. Here in Minnesota, what has happened is that for the longest time, Minnesota taxed your Social Security benefit if it was taxable to the feds. Recently, they put in a new caveat that says, hey, for married couples, if your adjusted gross income is under $100,000, and then they'll start increasing that number every year. But if your adjusted gross income is underneath that threshold, then all your benefit will be tax free. And so there's a lot of states that are going towards not taxing Social Security. Like Wisconsin, for our neighbors over there, they've had Social Security not being taxed at all for a long time.
Hmm.
And then, of course, there's the states that don't have any income tax, so then the Social Security benefit wouldn't be taxed there either.
Yeah, Kim, and it's exactly why we teach, and we taught two of them this past week, Social Security and taxation classes. They're very well attended. Go to our website, come out and get more information. And what happens when folks do come out, we spend an hour and a half educating on Social Security, on the taxation, strategies, should you take it, why you should take it, survivor's benefits, spousal benefits. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you can take it. Now, we try not to make it super complicated because it doesn't have to be. And then, folks, when they come in, we'll put together a Social Security maximization report, a roadmap for what makes sense, good, better, best, to get the most out of Social Security. All that education is not meant for them to try to, hey, everybody should wait till 70 because that's the latest you're going to take it. The earliest is 62. But what makes the most financial sense from an income standpoint, from a tax standpoint? Because every dollar taken from Social Security is one less dollar that you're going to have to take from a retirement account, from a pre-tax account where all of it's going to be taxable.
Hmm.
Whereas Social Security, none of it could be taxed. 50% of it could be taxed, or up to 85% could be taxed. It's a sliding scale. So you want to make a good educated decision, not just, I'm going to turn it on at 62 because that's what everybody says. That's what they do. That's not a good decision because it all comes down to income and distribution, tax plan. And again, that's where we want to map that strategy out, give it some thought, and ultimately it's an individual decision.
Absolutely. And you frequently need a partner to make those kinds of decisions. Lance Larson, as you know, is with us. He's a CPA there at Haven Financial Group. If you'd like to sit down with Lance and talk through a strategy, the best way to draw your Social Security for maximum benefits and the least amount of taxation, then give them a call at Haven Financial Group. The number is 612-504-8400. Let me give that to you again, 612-504-8400. You can also go to their website. That's havenfinancialgroup.com. Learn more about Haven Financial Group and some of the educational seminars that you just heard Larry talking about, the dates when and if there's some open slots in some of those upcoming events during the course of the summer. When we come back, gentlemen, let's continue to talk about taxes. Let's talk about tax treatment of 401ks and your IRAs. I think a lot of people just need a little education on when it's time to start pulling that money out of your 401k or when you need to roll it to something else. So that's coming up right here on the Haven Financial Group radio show.